My wife dumped me for my brother after her astrologer called him her soulmate. Now I know he bribed the guy and she wants me back. I'm a 35-year-old guy, and up until recently, I was married to my wife, she's 34, for 7 years. We'd been together for a total of 10. In a lot of ways, we were really compatible. We both had a passion for traveling, loved experimenting in the kitchen, and spent countless nights binge-watching TV shows. Our life goals lined up pretty well too. But there was always this one area where we didn't quite connect, our beliefs. See, I've always been a facts and logic kind of person. I trust science, I value reason, and I try to make decisions based on evidence. For the longest time, she was right there with me on that. But when the world turned upside down in 2020 and we were stuck at home like everyone else, something shifted. Like a lot of folks during that strange time, she got really deep into astrology. It started off innocently enough, just her scrolling endlessly through Instagram and TikTok while we were quarantined. No big deal at first. She'd read my horoscope out loud for fun or chalk up a bad day to Mercury being in retrograde. It seemed harmless, and honestly, if it brought her a little joy or comfort during such a rough time, I didn't see the harm in it. But when the lockdown finally lifted, the first thing she did wasn't reconnect with friends or return to work, it was finding herself a professional astrologer. That caught me off guard, but I didn't push back. I loved her, and if this new interest helped her feel grounded, I was willing to be supportive even if I thought the whole thing was nonsense. My thinking was, if it makes her happy and she's not hurting anybody, then what's the problem? I mean, I've always believed that everyone has their quirks. I didn't want to be that guy who shuts down his partner's interests just because he doesn't share them. So I played along, gave her space, and reminded myself that relationships are about give and take. But over time, what started as a quirky hobby turned into something much more intense. Before I knew it, she was dropping hundreds of dollars on detailed birth chart readings and rituals to cleanse our home's energy. Every single decision suddenly had to pass through an astrological filter. She'd ask her astrologer about everything, from what she should eat that day to whether or not we should plan a vacation. It got to a point where she said we couldn't even have serious conversations at certain hours because the stars didn't favor communication then. She told me I shouldn't make any big decisions because my planetary alignments were off. She even started arguments based on our zodiac compatibility, or lack of it, and would blame our disagreements on whatever planet happened to be in retrograde that week. At one point, she seriously suggested we should move houses because our current one wasn't in harmony with her rising sign, or something along those lines. Even with all that, I tried to keep my cool. I didn't buy into any of it, but I kept telling myself that love means compromise. I didn't want to be controlling or dismissive. I figured this was just a weird phase she was going through, and if I kept supporting her, maybe she'd snap out of it eventually. Then came the day everything changed. She asked me to sit down in the living room because she had something important to tell me. The moment I saw her face, I knew something was wrong. She looked like she was trying to hold back tears, and my stomach dropped. For days, she'd been acting off, distant, distracted, but every time I tried to ask what was going on, she brushed me off. Now here she was, crying and telling me that her astrologer had shared something that, in her words, changed everything. According to this reading, I wasn't her real soulmate. Nope, it was my brother. My younger brother, who's 33. Apparently, the stars had revealed that their cosmic bond was stronger than ours ever was. The astrologer even claimed our marriage was doomed from the very beginning. And the wildest part? She believed it. She said all our past disagreements made sense now because, according to her, the stars had always been telling us we weren't meant to be. She genuinely believed that the reason I didn't agree with her about something as minor as wearing red on a Tuesday was proof of our cosmic incompatibility. At first, I laughed nervously because I honestly thought she was joking. But then she started sobbing uncontrollably, and I realized she was dead serious. She told me she needed to follow her true path with my brother. She kept insisting this wasn't something she wanted, it was what the universe demanded. She kept repeating lines like, "The stars don't lie," and "This is meant to be." I tried everything I could to bring her back to reality. I reminded her of our life together, all the years we'd spent building something real. I pleaded with her not to throw it all away over what some random astrologer said. But nothing I said got through. She told me our marriage was just bad alignment, that our energies didn't mesh, and that her connection with my brother was destined. I was stunned, devastated, furious. She was ready to leave me for my own brother because of a bunch of star charts? And to make matters worse, my brother didn't even act surprised when she told him. He didn't hesitate, didn't even pretend to be shocked. He just took her in like it was no big deal. That's when my gut told me something wasn't right. My brother and I had never been especially close, but this felt slimy. My family didn't make it any easier. Instead of backing me up, they actually told me to accept it and trust the universe. They said if the astrologer was right, then it wasn't my place to interfere with fate. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt completely isolated. It seemed like I was the only one who hadn't lost their mind. The divorce process started not long after. I won't bore you with all the ugly details, but it was brutal. We had to wait out the mandatory 6-month period, and during that time, I had to watch my ex-wife, play house with my brother like they were some storybook couple written in the stars. It was humiliating. The year that followed was rough. I dove into therapy, cut off contact with most of my family, and threw myself into work. It wasn't easy, but I was managing to get through it. And then, about a year later, out of the blue, she reached out to me. I hadn't heard a word from her since the divorce had been finalized. So when her name suddenly popped up on my phone screen, I just stared at it, shocked. She messaged me out of the blue, saying she needed to talk to me right away. She asked if I could meet up within the next hour. Honestly, I wasn't keen on the idea. I had some free time, sure, but seeing her again didn't feel like a smart move. I told her as much, but she wouldn't let up. She kept pushing, saying she had something really important to tell me, something she didn't want to say over text. I asked her to just type it out and send it to me, but she insisted it had to be in person. Against my better judgment, my curiosity got the best of me, so I agreed to meet. When I saw her, I was honestly taken aback. She looked completely wrecked, dark circles under her eyes, like she hadn't slept in days. And the moment she laid eyes on me, she broke down crying. She started going on about how she'd made a huge mistake and how sorry she was. She was practically begging me to forgive her. I was confused, and to be honest, I didn't really care to hear any of it. The only reason I'd agreed to meet her was to find out what this supposedly urgent information was. Once she calmed down and got her tears under control, she finally told me. Apparently, she had overheard a conversation between my brother and someone else. She happened to catch him talking about how easy it had been to win her over. When he left his phone unattended, she checked it and saw he'd been messaging with her astrologer. That was when she confronted him and he ended up spilling everything. Turns out, my brother had paid the astrologer to convince her that the two of them were soulmates. He knew how much she believed in astrology and deliberately used it to manipulate her into leaving me. He exploited something she truly believed in, just to get what he wanted. She told me my brother had been jealous of me for as long as she could remember, jealous of my career, my friendships, my life in general. Apparently, over time, that resentment turned into some creepy obsession with her. He wanted what I had, and he didn't care how he got it. She was devastated. Said she felt like a fool for being so easily manipulated. And honestly, I couldn't believe it either. She also said that after getting with my brother, she saw a side of him she hadn't expected. He'd become controlling, mean-spirited, and emotionally abusive. She'd finally left him once she realized the truth, and now, she wanted to come back to me. She kept saying how she didn't realize what she had until it was gone. That she never meant to destroy our marriage and that she felt ashamed of what she did. She told me she still loved me and wanted to make things right. I didn't even know where to start. On one hand, I was furious that she bought into the lie, and furious that my own brother had orchestrated this whole thing. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't still feel something for her. Part of me had imagined, more than once, what it would be like if she came back. But at the same time, how could I trust her again? How could I ever look at her and not see betrayal? I told her I needed time to think. But in my gut, I knew I probably couldn't ever forgive her. Even if I wanted to. She made her choice. And now that I know the truth, I don't think I could ever see her the same way again. Update 1. Wow, I did not expect the amount of responses this got. I've been overwhelmed with messages, advice, and support, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who took the time to reach out. So many of you have told me not to take my ex-wife back, and honestly, I'm starting to agree. Yes, she was manipulated. Yes, she was lied to. But the way she threw our marriage away so easily still stings. She chose to believe a stranger over her husband. That's not something I can just erase. A lot of people asked what my relationship with my brother was like, so here's a little background. We've never been close. He's always had this weird jealousy thing with me. If I got good grades, he'd sulk. If I succeeded in sports, he'd find something to criticize. There were even times he'd sabotage me, like hiding my school projects the night before they were due or trying to humiliate me in front of my friends. My parents always made excuses for him. They'd say he was sensitive, that he just needed more attention or support. Instead of holding him accountable, they'd spoil him with gifts or give him a pass every time he acted out. Meanwhile, I was constantly told to be the bigger person. Let things go. Keep the peace. Looking back, it doesn't surprise me at all that he pulled something like this. He's always been bitter, always been competitive. So when he saw me with a woman he decided he wanted, he just took her. And instead of being a man and owning up to it, he twisted the narrative and used her beliefs to manipulate her. It's sick, really. Also, just to clear something up, I don't hate astrology. I think it can be fun, and yeah, I've read horoscopes before. But to me, it's entertainment. I never saw it as something that should dictate your life. The problem was never her liking astrology. The problem was when she started living by it, when she let it determine her choices, our marriage, everything. Since she confessed all this to me, I've been in a strange headspace. On one hand, I'm relieved there wasn't some cosmic force pulling us apart. It was just my brother being the manipulative jerk he's always been. But on the other hand, I'm still hurt. Still angry. I lost a marriage I thought was solid because of this. And as if things weren't messy enough, she's been trying hard to win me back. She somehow found out where I moved, and I have no idea how, and now she's been sending flowers and gifts nonstop. It's been uncomfortable, to say the least. Every time a new delivery shows up at my door, flowers, little gifts, it just brings all the old feelings back to the surface. Honestly, it makes my skin crawl a bit. I don't know what she expects. Does she really think sending bouquets is somehow going to undo everything that happened? Like flowers or some kind of magical fix? Now, for the biggest updates so far, my brother actually tried to get in touch with me. Keep in mind, this man hasn't spoken to me in over a year. No calls, no texts, nothing. And now, after he manipulated my wife into leaving me, now he wants to talk? The audacity was unbelievable. When we did talk, it was surreal. He acted like he hadn't done a thing wrong. He straight up claimed that my ex-wife was lying and that this whole thing was a big misunderstanding. According to him, he never paid off the astrologer at all. He said the astrologer truly believed they were soulmates, like the universe itself had just laid it all out. Yeah. Sure. I've known my brother my whole life, and if there's one thing I'm certain of, it's when he's lying. He's always been a master manipulator. He knows exactly how to twist things to make himself look clean. This conversation was no different. He kept trying to shift the blame, saying it wasn't his fault. That the stars just happened to line things up that way. And then, he had the gall to say maybe if I had been a better husband, my wife wouldn't have turned to astrology in the first place. That was it for me. I hung up on him, blocked his number immediately, and made sure he had no way of contacting me again. I'm done with him. It was hard enough dealing with my ex-wife showing up out of nowhere, but I wasn't about to let my brother continue dragging me through this mess. Cutting him off felt like the only sane option. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt. He's still my brother, or at least he used to be. After what he did, I just can't find it in myself to forgive him. Right now, I'm focused on healing. I'm doing my best to take things one day at a time and remind myself that I deserve better than what either of them put me through. If anything else happens, I'll update. But for now, I'm keeping my distance from all that chaos. Update 2. Hey everyone. I wasn't planning on posting again so soon, but some things came to light that I felt I needed to share. After cutting ties with my brother, I couldn't stop replaying our conversation in my head. His whole "it was a misunderstanding" excuse kept gnawing at me. Even though I didn't buy it for a second, I couldn't shake the need to know for sure. And my ex-wife was still adamant that the astrologer was in on it, which only made me more desperate for confirmation. So I decided to find the guy myself. I figured if anyone could give me real answers, it had to be the source of it all, the astrologer. It took some digging, but eventually, I tracked him down to where he was currently working. And let me tell you, I didn't go in there with a friendly smile. I was done being polite. I needed the truth, and I wasn't leaving without it. At first, he played dumb. Acted like he had no idea what I was talking about, gave me some vague spiritual nonsense about cosmic energy and destiny. But I kept pressing. I told him I knew my brother had been involved and that I wasn't backing off. Finally, after enough pressure, he broke. He admitted it. Said yes, my brother had paid him to tell my wife they were soulmates. He confessed that my brother offered him a pretty decent sum of money to make the reading convincing, knowing full well that she was already deeply into astrology and would believe it without hesitation. I asked him straight up whether my brother had just offered money or if there had been threats involved. I needed to know how far this whole thing had gone. He told me it was purely about the money. No threats. Just a bribe. He tried justifying it, saying he was broke, had a family to support, and didn't know what else to do. And while I get that times can be tough, scamming someone into ending their marriage isn't exactly a noble way to earn a living. Hearing all that was like being hit by a truck, equal parts satisfying and infuriating. On one hand, I finally had proof. Concrete, undeniable proof that my brother had orchestrated everything. On the other, it just stoked the fire inside me all over again. He didn't win my wife because of fate or some cosmic connection. He won her because he lied and bought his way into her belief system. And then things got even more insane. Apparently, after our confrontation, the astrologer started panicking. I guess I rattled him more than I thought, because he began spilling the beans to other people. He told friends, clients, anyone who'd listen, that my brother had paid him to help steal his own brother's wife. He even started telling folks that my brother threatened him, which, as far as I can tell, is a lie. I think he just started saying that to protect himself. I only found out about all this when a friend of mine sent me a screenshot from a local Facebook group. My ex-wife had gone on a full-blown mission to destroy this guy's reputation. She posted scathing reviews on every site she could find, calling him a fraud and a con artist who could be easily bribed. Once the astrologer saw the backlash coming in, he must have realized his reputation was toast. So he flipped the script and pinned everything on my brother, telling people he was just following orders. It was obvious he was trying to cover his own ass. And just like that, the story started spreading like wildfire. The people he confessed to began posting the details in those same online groups. At first, the focus was on how shady the astrologer was, but soon enough, the conversation shifted to my brother. Word was out. And suddenly, people were talking about how my brother had basically hired someone to manipulate and destroy my marriage. Total strangers were starting to see him for what he really was. It didn't take long for the news to spread. Before I knew it, more and more people were talking about how my brother had used the whole astrology scam just to steal my wife. And from there, things snowballed fast. The fallout was huge. My brother's reputation took a nosedive. Friends started cutting him off. People in our social circles wanted nothing to do with him. Even some of his business contacts started walking away. Nobody wanted to be associated with someone who'd pull something so low and manipulative. His entire image, the one he'd worked so hard to craft, was falling apart, and honestly, I didn't feel sorry for him. Not even a little. He was finally dealing with the consequences of his actions. I never thought it would blow up like this, but in a strange way, it felt like justice. That said, I'm still left sorting through the emotional wreckage he helped create. My ex-wife is still reaching out, still apologizing, still asking for another chance. And now that everything's out in the open, her guilt has hit a whole new level. She keeps saying she was manipulated, and I do believe that to a certain extent, but it's hard to move past the fact that she bought into that ridiculous soulmate story and left me for my own brother without so much as a pause. I don't know what to do with that. Part of me understands she was lied to, but another part of me knows I'll never be able to fully trust her again. No matter how many times she says she's sorry, no matter how broken up she seems now, it doesn't erase the fact that she chose to believe a lie and turn her back on everything we had. Emotionally, I'm still sorting myself out. I'm grateful the truth finally came out, but that doesn't magically fix what happened. I spent months, years, really feeling betrayed by the people closest to me. My brother's finally facing the backlash he deserves, but I'm still standing in the aftermath, trying to figure out what my next step should be. There's this strange mix of relief and emptiness. Yeah, the truth is out, but so what? My marriage is still gone. My relationship with my brother is ruined beyond repair. And I'm the one left picking up the pieces. If anything else comes up, I'll share it. But for now, I'm just trying to take care of myself and keep moving forward. Update 3, Final. Hey everyone, it's been about 5 months since my last update, and I thought it was time to close the book on this. A lot has changed, and surprisingly, a lot of it has been for the better. First, about my brother. After his reputation took that massive hit, things only got worse for him. Pretty much everyone turned their backs on him, his friends, his business partners, even some of our own relatives. His carefully curated image of being this polished, successful guy? It's gone. He's been struggling to keep his business afloat, and from what I've heard, he's lost a ton of clients. People just don't trust him anymore. And as much as I told myself I didn't care what happened to him, part of me did feel a little sorry. I never wanted his whole life to fall apart. But at the same time, I didn't cause this, he did. He made those choices. Now he's living with them. Thankfully, he hasn't tried to contact me again. But my parents did. They reached out after everything came to light. They had stood by my brother during all the drama and believed the astrology nonsense, just like my ex-wife did. But once the truth unraveled, they started realizing how badly they'd messed up. They called me and, for the first time in a long while, they apologized. They said they were sorry for not being there when I needed them most, sorry for not seeing the situation clearly and for enabling my brother for so long. I was shocked, honestly. I wasn't expecting them to take any responsibility at all. We had a decent conversation at first. I opened up and told them how hurt I'd been growing up, how they never held my brother accountable, how they always excused his behavior while asking me to be the bigger person. They listened. They apologized again. And for a moment, I actually believed we were starting to make progress. Then my mom brought up how sad it was that my brother had lost everything. I tried to stay calm, to just nod along and not react. But that was a mistake. The conversation quickly spiraled. They started asking if I could do something to help him. Maybe make a public statement, they suggested, something to downplay the whole thing. Say the rumors had been exaggerated. Maybe even say it wasn't really his fault. That's when I lost it. Everything I'd been holding back, everything I'd stuffed down just to stay sane, came roaring to the surface. I told him flat out, I wasn't going to step in to save him. I didn't owe him anything. He created this mess, and now he needed to live in it. When I said no, they got angry. Said I was being cold, unforgiving. That's when I knew I couldn't keep having these conversations with them. They still saw my brother as the one who needed protecting, not as the one who caused all this damage. After that, I pulled away. I decided to limit contact and protect my peace. I don't hate my parents, but I can't keep being around people who refuse to face the truth about the son they raised. Since then, I've made a big change. I moved out of state. Part of me just needed a clean slate. Being around all the old memories, the drama, the family tension, it was weighing me down. I found a new job that felt like a good fit, packed up, and left. So far, the move's been the best decision I've made. I feel lighter. More focused. Like I can finally breathe again. As for my ex-wife, she gave it one last shot a few weeks after my last update. She sent me this long message saying she'd cut astrology out of her life completely. Said she wanted to grow, to be better, to start over. She admitted she'd been fooled, really took ownership of her mistakes. And I respect that. I really do. There was a part of me that wanted to believe her. We were together for years, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss the comfort of that. I missed the routine, the companionship, the familiarity. But the more I sat with those feelings, the more I realized I didn't actually miss her. I just missed being in a relationship. That's when it hit me, I couldn't go back. Even if she'd changed, even if astrology was no longer guiding her every move, the damage had already been done. She chose to leave me for my brother over a made-up belief. I can't forget that. I can't ignore that. Since then, I've started dating again. Nothing too serious yet, but I did meet someone. She's kind, grounded, and most importantly, values honesty and communication. We're taking it slow, no pressure, no drama, just two people getting to know each other. It's been refreshing, peaceful, even. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long while, I'm excited to find out. Thanks again to everyone who's followed this journey and offered support. I read almost every comment, and the advice, encouragement, and empathy I received really helped carry me through the worst of it. I hope you're as satisfied with where I ended up as I am.